Indeed, and I'm here with Eleonore Caroit, who's an MP for the French citizens living overseas in Latin America and the Caribbean. And she's also part of the centrist bloc of President Macron. And Eleonore Caroit, you're one of the few, if you will, MPs who will be voting for in favor of François Bayrou. First, tell me what do you feel about this speech? Was it a goodbye speech?
I think he explained the situation and also stated why he's asking for this vote, why it is absolutely necessary to reduce our deficit and our public spendings. And in that sense, I think it was important that this be reminded. Now, there is very little suspense as to what will happen next. He will probably fall. And now we need to build. And building means compromising. And I do hope that MPs are now willing to do so.
And clearly, we heard all the other leaders or the representatives of the various parliamentary groups being really hard towards François Bayrou. Basically, the socialists even saying it was a moral mistake of his to call for this vote of no confidence. What do you think?
I think it is always easy when you don't like a situation to blame someone for it. The truth is, even if he hadn't called for this vote, we would have had a discussion, a budgetary discussion that was not looking good. And ultimately, a similar situation was bound to happen at the end of the year, where it would have been even harder to find a way to have a budget by the 31st of December. So, of course, this is not a very good situation to be in, but at least we do have a few weeks to find a way to have a budget. But this means, again, that people are willing to sit at a table and make compromises. And when I listen to what they said today, I think it's a very bad show that we're given to the world. And I do think that they come back to their responsibilities.
Exactly. What next? Who can take over? Who can be the next prime minister? Could it be a socialist? Does it have to be someone from the centrist bloc? Or even someone from Les Républicains, the right-wing party? What is your belief on that situation?
Well, I think the first question we should ask ourselves is not that much who, but why and how. How do we actually manage to do what clearly we were unable to do 9 months ago and a year ago? I do think that there's a positive trend. You know, when there was the snap elections just a year ago, you had the left saying we want our program, nothing but a program, and all of our program. You had the right saying, well, we have Michel Barnier, you know, the former.
Can you support a left-wing candidate? Can you support a socialist?
Of course we can. I mean, we already supported an LR and a Republican from the right. We're in the center, and what we've been saying every single time is that we're willing to cooperate. It does not mean that we're going to agree with every single proposal that is made, but it does mean that we're willing to, you know, make a step forward so that we can land somewhere. And I think that the name and the political party of the person that is appointed prime minister is not as relevant as his capacity to actually find a compromise, an agreement for only 18 months until we have new presidential elections.
And final question, presidential election 2027, but does it not look inevitable that we're heading towards snap parliamentary elections if President Macron can't find a prime minister who's able to pass laws and even the budget here?
Well, you know, I've had elections every single year since I was elected in 2022, so I'm not a...
And you've done well because you're still here.
Well, but, you know, it's always a waste of money, a waste of time, and I'm always for asking people what they want, but I don't see how it would be different from what they told us a year ago when they voted massively and gave this very divided National Assembly. So I think what they really want, what French people really want, is for us, again, to find a way to compromise. It's not easy, and it doesn't look good today, granted, but again, I do think that when you look back a year ago, there's been some progress, and I do hope that we can move forward.
Eleonore Caroit, thank you very much. You're, of course, an MP for French citizens living in Latin America and the Caribbean and part of EPR, which is the centrist bloc of President Macron. Centre-right, centrist, centre-right, centre-left.
No, we're adapting, of course.
Thank you very much.